evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening to the Ammies Dirty Old Podcast. Rousey's back.
You've missed me, haven't you?
We'll let the fans judge that. So let us know.
Yeah,
give us a comment if you've missed Rousey. Does he deserve to come back?
Apparently the viewings were pretty good last week, so they'll crash this week. They'll go down.
Let us know if you want Rousey back permanently, because he's on probation again because he dipped out for holidays. We've got Danny Shepherd. How are we doing, mate?
How do? Good, thanks.
And we've got the usual Gav, who's going to be
in your wet dreams.
It's going to be his grumpiest ever, as always. And he's got, I don't know what he's been doing with his forehead. Let you explain what's, You could come up with a really good story that you started out some hooligan gangs.
I've been decorating today.
Look at his condo behind him. House.
The TV's froze, so I can't change it over. Just froze.
You watch stuff on IPTV, mate.
You're gonna get banned,
And it's not on a dodgy part.
You're gonna get banned putting it all over Facebook. I'm watching Salford on my stick and all that.
Watched it.
Yeah.
You're going to get the plod coming knocking on your door, sunshine. We're even putting pictures of your condo. You go, he must be doing well. What jobs he got?
To go to the matches.
Oh!
Touche.
Okay, on that note.
You're the one who fire sticks it.
I pay for my away games. I was sat in the hotel last night. And I earn money to watch a good one. So, say good. We'll discuss that in a bit. So, right, where do we start? Rousey, where do you want to start? Because you're back in full force. Where would you like to start?
Where would I? Oh, right. So you're putting it on me, like I'm the new host.
Yeah, look, I'll let you start with whichever way. We can mix it, or you can.
I don't know. Don't be putting. I want. Said it's added pressure already. I can feel myself getting hot.
Already under the cosh, dearie me. Right, okay.
Crumble under pressure, Martin. You ask me questions. Don't ask me questions. Bleeding hell. I'll be asking you what you have for tea.
Colchester away.
Well, look, what we'll do is we want to keep it. Look, we need to keep it under an hour, and I know the last podcast we did a generalized view of the 4 games that was coming up, and albeit one of the games was cancelled, postponed. So let's just look at the last 3 games that we played. 3 games, won 1, lost 1, drew 1. Now,
I think about cut the beginning.
Say that again.
I think about cut the beginning out. We've been going like an hour, and it's like just on the first conversation.
I know.
No, we didn't record. We wasn't recording then. But now you're prolonging it by interrupting all the time.
I know. Stop
interrupting. Are you not used to
that? No, not yet. So let's go back a little bit. I don't want. Let's keep it a little bit, short, shall we say? Because we've got quite a bit to get through. Let's go back to Colchester first and foremost. 1-1, guys. I mean, going into the game, where I personally thought that we should be going there. They're the type of teams that we should be beating. However, on the flip side, they were in form, but it almost seems like, judging on what the fans were saying on Facebook, it seems a bit of a disappointment. So what do you think?
Yeah. Well, do you want me to start?
Go on, Rouse, sir.
Well, I went to the. I went into it with confidence. I thought that obviously we would do something, but back of my mind, and I said it to a few of the others, I wouldn't say we always seem to struggle against Colchester. I found that, and was no different. We started off all right. I wouldn't say the first half was great, flat in my opinion, but I think if we're talking in terms of how we played and moved the ball around, I think pretty good. I don't think Colchester really worried us in the first half. It was just, in my opinion, We got the goal early in the second half, did we? 49, yeah, 49 minutes was it, Michael?
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought it'd be a foregone conclusion that we'd walk it that job, but yeah, I couldn't have been any further from the truth. I think as soon as the goal went in, just took a 20-yard step back. We weren't pressing. We was come on to us. I don't know if it was a tactic or fear or what, because the crowd were really somber, getting on anybody's back. But yeah, we just seemed to let them get back into the game, and we couldn't do anything about it, which was a bit frustrating. But they got the goal, and just it carried on. I think from memory, I don't think we troubled their keeper until 5 minutes to go, maybe injury time. So it was a bit. I came away from that really deflated, even though we'd got a point. It felt like a defeat to the performance. I think we'd had a little chat, didn't we, in the group, and Danny obviously what he put in the main forum, and like I said, I didn't disagree with it. You could see what in the first half what we were trying to do. We got the goal. Up to that point, everything was a good away performance. But as soon as the goal went in, just something clicked for me. Like I dropped 20 yards off them and let them come back into it. I don't know what you thought, Gav, as well.
You said Gav.
Gav, that's your to come in.
That my cue.
Rousey just.
I've missed you for weeks, mate, and these queuing parts are just like confusing me. Dan normally just nudges me under the table.
You go, Gav. You go.
Yeah. So if I remember rightly, Rousey, because I went with you, didn't I? And you were saying all the time is I hate this place because we always do bad here. We've never had any luck here. It's a terrible game. It's just rotten. It's a rotten place to visit, so to say. Not because of anything apart from the football's normally a bit dire. And I think you was quite right again. We left thinking, oh my God, what was that? But for me, it was Colchester got it right. They did League Two football. They bullied us. They kicked us. They thumped us. They chased us. And Salford, in my opinion, it might have been a cold Tuesday night, they sort of ran away from a fight. So instead of like going head on to it, they started doing the 20, 30-yard passes backwards and sideways and backwards and sideways. Yeah. It was sort of like running from a fight instead of going, all right, come on, let's 1-2 around these guys. Let's show them that we're a better footballing team. We were just bullied out of the game, in my opinion. And I think Colchester were unlucky not to win. That point, that game last year, we would have got that point, we would have got beat. So that point, I left thinking that point's actually massive because we didn't deserve anything, I don't think. I thought we got bullied, we got kicked, we got beaten, we got bruised, we got scared. We weren't up for a fight where they were. They were very compact in between their lines. There was no room.
Danny, would you agree that a point away at Colchester then, in terms of what Gav's saying, is that a good point? I know where Gav's coming from, and if we get into the playoffs by a point, or we get third and we go up automatic by 1 point, is that a good point to get at Colchester?
Potentially. Maybe I'm just more of a performance analyst than I am a results person, and it's just, I think I may have put in my post, I was just surprised. I was just taken aback, thinking, where's this come from? Like you've already said, in terms of why did we take a step back? It is Neil Wood saying, as soon as we score, just settle down, just step back and sit on it and kind of hold it. And that seems, for a team that's been in the form we've been in before that game, I think it's a shock that either the team mindset is that negative, or Neil Wood is that negative. And between me, you, and these four walls, I think it's the team. I think there's something between their ears, because I'm seeing it in a few of these games that we'll come to, where that confidence is very brittle, very, very brittle.
I've seen it. I know we'll speak about Crawley and the Walsall game, but I think to your point there, Danny, what I'm kind of seeing of recent, which we kind of got away with it a little bit, Colchester, because again, but other times, some of those chances that Colchester have had, they go in, and we could have easily, if we would have lost 3-1, 4-1 in that game, I don't think any Salford fan would have walked away and gone, that's the wrong scoreline, because they blitzed our goal for a period of time. And one thing I'm seeing in the last couple of games is I'm not blaming the back four, back five. Collectively, defensively as a team, we look a little bit suspect, and that's the concern for me. I think going forward, not so much, but defensively is a concern. And I think that's shown going into the Crawley game. I mean, you're playing a team towards the bottom of the table, having a really bad season, things not going good at a higher level, and 3-0 down. 3-0 down. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing or watching. If you was there, guys, that anybody that went to that game should be getting. I know with fans, you got to take the good with the bad, but I'll be asking for my money back if I went to that game. Seriously, I mean, I feel sorry. I know people were saying on the forum, anybody that travelled to the game, I feel sorry for you. So, guys, if you was there, sum it up.
It was a painful one. It was quite comical, really, because, like I said again, we've done it before. We've had tried to have banter with a couple of the players, and I think I remember one from last season where we were giving Wilson from Forest a bit of stick, and he took half the team on and scored. I remember that one quite well. We was doing it again to one of the lads, one of the strikers. I can't remember. Escapes me, but he looks a bit like Andy Carroll, bits on a shorter basis, and we were giving him a bit of grief for that. From a set piece, the smallest lad on the pitch nods it home within 30 seconds of us giving him. So yeah, the first half performance was terrible against Crawley. I've never left a Salford game early, apart from that one, where I was probably ready to come away at half time, but the fact that we did get one goal back made me stay a little bit. I would have liked, but we did. We left early to beat the traffic, and I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that, because you should be going to the game to support your team. But yeah, there was no real mistake, because I never felt like we were ever going to get back into it, even though we did score two. I didn't agree with Neil Wood in that game to say that we were unlucky and we maybe should have got something out of it. I really don't agree with that performance. We was dead and buried. I think that game was over in half time. So yeah, I went. I know Gav went as well. Wasn't for me, there was no positives. Yeah, we shown a little bit of fight, but like I said, apart from it was one to strike off, I think, for me, because it was poor from start. It's a matter of the goals as well. Set pieces, 2 set pieces.
Well, we made a point on the last podcast with Smith, and
yeah,
and here for those who listened to the last podcast, and this isn't kind of putting the pressure on Gav. Gav was suggesting that it was time. Obviously, you got your main striker. He's in a bit of dry form when it comes to scoring goals. He hasn't scored for a couple of games, and that there was a need for change. And kind of between myself and Danny was suggesting that we're winning games, and therefore there's actually no need to actually change a winning side. Why make changes that might have a negative impact? And then as soon as the team was announced against Crawley, straight away, I noticed Smith wasn't in the team, and I thought this isn't going to go well. And myself and a couple of the guys in here in the podcast, we're in a group, and that's what we were saying straight away. And then what happens? We conceded the first 2 goals on set pieces. Now the second one, I don't think Smith would have been there. It went to the near post. Smith normally vacates the 6-yard box in the middle, but I think he most certainly would have been there for the first one. And
the first one, 100%, he would have been. It was a.
The keeper for Sal or Leak all should have been there before the 2-foot dwarf. Just putting in there what you're saying about my mate Matty Smith. So it wasn't necessarily just dropping. I'm saying across the season, 40 odd games, we need to play without him, because if we try to play him every game, we're not going to get promoted. Look what happened last season. The exact same thing. If we don't play other players, other strikers, other wingers who aren't getting game time, when Smith gets injured, or whether it does have a poor run of form, which all players do, they about come in. They about need 10 games to get the match fitness, to get the eye in. So if this happens 10 games to the end of the season, like it did last season, we're not about getting promotion. We're not about to get promoted. And the other one with Smith is I was about to mention that. So if Smith is as we've said last week and the week before, the only one who keeps clearing all the headers, and Smith's he's waiting gold. Yeah, why have we not brought in a right back, a centre back, and a left back? Why we brought in a winger and an attacker? If our attacker is doing our defending, if our defenders can't defend, why haven't we brought someone in who can? That's what I got from, especially the Sutton game.
We're gonna touch on. You're correct. We're gonna touch on the transfer. In the podcast, we're gonna look at the January transfers. But I think you're right. But although Smith, while we're talking about Smith, while he's not scoring goals, I mean, again, looking for the first goal that we scored against Crawley. The ball goes to the back post. He knocks it down. He's involved. And then what I was absolutely over the moon with, we played Walsall last night. Who gets the goal? And I was like, it couldn't have been anybody else. And I thought that just ticking the box. And again, we kept a clean sheet. Now, call it coincidence, maybe, yeah. But for me, you've got to keep Smith in the team. Okay, got a goal last night. Previous to that, he struggled to get a couple of goals, but he is involved in everything that we do. And we're not just playing long ball. And we said this on the last couple of podcasts. We're not just playing long ball to suit Smith's way of play. Neil Wood's still playing the way that he wants to play with involving Smith. And I think for whatever reason, Neil Wood wanted to change it. And I think very quickly after that game, he realised what was missing. And I think it was Smith. But you're right, Gav. Why are we expecting our main striker to be doing defensive duties like that? But it's what we've got with.
Could I just put something in on this one, Martin?
Let's go, Danny. Yeah.
I think we technically still on the Crawley game, and admittedly I didn't go. I watched it on the official stream, and what I saw, which surprised me, is that again you were there, may have a better view than me. I'm sure we were playing a back three, and the fact that if we're playing a back three, that suggests that Neil Wood is potentially not happy with what he's seeing from the back four. I think he kind of went back to normal last night, was it, against Walsall? But I saw like a back three, which, well, it was terrible. The marking was appalling. And yeah, I kind of lumped these two games together, Crawley and Colchester, in a kind of, where's that come from? But one of the thoughts I had today was, are we actually as good a team as we were during our good spell, or are we somewhere in between that and this load of rubbish that these two games were? Are we kind of, is our average actually somewhere in the middle? So just a thought.
No, good points.
I think if last night's game hadn't been played before this podcast probably would have been a lot more angry and depressing and upsetting.
Chris just said Salford teams have always been stingy with the goals we concede. I think that's what he meant to say. But we're conceding poor goals. I mean, pretty spot on there in terms of the goals we're not really conceding goals that you kind of look at and go, that's a good goal. That's a good goal. Fair play. They worked that well, or it's a 25-yard strike. He's put it right in the top corner. The goal, I would say, without going back, I would say at least half the goals that we conceded, maybe more, are all just lack of just basic defensive duties. Waltzing through and
switching off at key moments for me. I think when we were praising back four at the start of the season, they did just. I think someone mentioned it earlier. We just don't seem to be I don't know whether that is a confidence thing or it is the way we play. But like I said, just if we are relying on our striker to do the defenders' work on set piece, it's allowing your defenders just to not be concentrating and not being switched on and not staying there. And that was all the game. It travelled past 3 or 4 players that should have done something about it. The person on the pitch nods it in the back of the net. That's not the first time that's happened. Last all, we switched off, and if it weren't for the keeper, we could have probably easily lost that game. Don't get me wrong, the performance last night was a lot better, but at the back, time the teams attack us, where I was a lot confident at the start of the season, thinking Narty's got this, or Theo's playing really well, he'll bully that, I don't feel that anymore. I actually get a bit nervous and a bit worried when teams our lines now and pass through our lines, because we're not as solid as at the back as we at the season, and that is a bit of a concern for me, because yeah, we're scoring goals, we're still picking up results. That Colchester draw might not be a bad point at the end of the season, because we will against Colchester, but we shouldn't be. And like I said, the way we're playing at the back at the minute, but there's certainly red flags going up for me at the minute.
Yeah,
We had
good point. I think. Oh, 1 second. Just a minute there, Gav. If anybody's got, I know we've got a couple of people in who are watching the pod. If there's something you want to say, just pop it on a comment. We'll put it in. We'll put it out there and discuss it. So just put it in there.
Barrow as a celebrity fan. We've got Dave Barrow as a celebrity fan. We've got Dave Barrow as a celebrity fan.
We've got local celebrities in today. Give us a wave.
Hey,
There he is, the lad.
But I think where some of those nervy defensive moments that we've had compared to this season, we still seeing it, even though we are from last season. But I think the difference being last season, those goals go in, the little scrappy 6-yard trying to clear the ball, looking nervous, and the ball goes in the back of the net. And for some reason, they're not going into our goal this season as often. And I think maybe that might, when it comes to the end of the season, they're the type of goals that the goals that we're not conceding, that we're kind of lucky and we get the points. I
think I saw last night. Sorry, you're talking about our back four and what have you. It's the first time I've seen this, and it's a total difference. And especially the Colchester match was Leak and Vernon number 9 both should have probably got a red card. They were basically elbowing each other. Leak were putting his studs in the back of his calves. They were seriously. I've seen Vassell do it, but I've never seen Leak do it. Maybe he's had a kick up his ass from the Colchester match, what have you, and maybe they backed out. But last night, Leak should have been off, full stop. He's elbowed him a couple of times. He put his studs in back of his ankles a couple of times, and they were doing it to each other. But like I say, it's the first time I've seen Leak do that. And whether he's had a bit of a kicking, saying, "Come on, you got to toughen up here. You can't let him be all over you."
I think.
Sorry, Mark.
Sorry, Danny. Go on. No, go on, Danny. No, go on.
It was just a thought about actually the caliber of our defenders. So I think we can agree that we don't really have a actual right back of who we can rely on week in week. So we can write that position off. Left back. People have their opinions on Torre. He is on the small side. He's probably at the lower end of the quality in this league. And then when you get to the centre halves, Eastham, is he even still at the club? I don't know. But if he is, then he's probably not going to play.
He's the
I'm
new
not
kit,
trying
man.
to be funny, but that's what strikes me. Nate, as I've said on a pod with Martin and Anthony before, Nate was a trialist who we've absolutely looked out on, who looks a lot better than should do for a trialist. So we've looked out there. Mm-hmm. Theo, I believe, was bought as a fringe player. I don't think he was bought for the first team. He's worked out. And Leak, for me, is again on the lower end of the quality in our division. So when you look at the actual quality in that back line, it's not there. So I do think that, yeah, if you give it to Connor might score an hat-trick, and we might get out of jail a few times, or Matt Smith might score a lovely header that just kind of dinks off the post. But when we look at what we've actually got in our kind of defensive core, it needs protection, and I think when it doesn't get enough protection, or the rest of the team don't kind of back up and organise themselves right, then we get shown up, especially in the game we're talking about, off set pieces.
A couple of the guys just putting messages in here to ask the panel. Do we think Torre is a strong enough captain?
No.
You can't. You can't pick a captain just because he's been
there
at
the longest
of years and he's established. And like I've said before, I love Torre. Thank him so much for for what he has done for us. But I feel he's really, really struggled this season. I do. I don't want him, like to leave, but to captain and to keep getting picked captain. For me, it's something's got to give there. I believe we should have signed a right and a left back. I think the business we've done's been okay, but I think we needed a right and a left back. Just a run for his money and maybe pick up his game possibly. But I think he's for me, his performances this year haven't been great. And if that was any other club, I think they would be dropped. But I don't know. Like I said, I know fan favourite, and that's probably not going to go down well with some people. But for me, like I said, I think he's looked out of place, not a bit. I would say massively.
But I think decisions like Torre being captain, like you say, he is a fan favourite. He's been with us, from the non-league days, and to be fair, he has done well, and he has served the purpose. And the first season, second season in League Two, he's been part of that. I would say, I'm not saying we've had a successful seasons because we're not going to playoffs, but in terms of getting out of non-league and into League Two and sustaining League Two, it's been successful in that aspect. But and not to question Torre too much, but for me to be a strong player and give a 7, 8 out of 10 performances game in, game out, and be able to lead at the same time is a very tough job. It's not a case Torre's not a good captain. I just don't think he's able to do both. Again, I still think we need a left back, even if it means to challenge Torre. Bring somebody in that's better. Fantastic. It strengthens the team. There's no loyalty in football, unfortunately, but you need a very strong character to be able to perform and at the highest level for that division, and be able to lead a team as well. You look at captains in the Premier League, say like a Roy Keane. Again, wasn't the best player on the pitch, but will give you 7 out of 10 every single game, but will be able to motivate a team. And we've spoken this before, and whether that's long term, if you're thinking more long term, is that an Elliot Watt? Because the way that he
really,
well, exactly. We've spoken about this before. Another post in here is when does the panel think Tiger Mallon will make an appearance?
Never.
No. Oh.
Okay.
Do we have to answer
that? I think everybody knows, don't they? I've just seen him on Eurosport on the PGA Tour, so we're knocking a ball about with Gareth Bale. Are there any opinions? Ando asks, are there any opinions on Kevin Burko? Doesn't get too many chances, but always seems decent when he's played. Would we agree, guys?
Agreed. Yeah.
I like Burko. He seems like a good player, but he doesn't get a chance. And that's what Torre needs. Torre needs someone who's about to go, actually, there's someone who wants my position here. But I've got a feeling Torre knows he's not being dropped. And that's not doing Torre any good. But Burko needs a chance and needs to run the games.
Yeah. Do we think Burko plays better? I know we want somebody to challenge Torre left back. The times that we've seen him, he's played both left back and he's played more in an attacking role in the Papa Johns. Where do we see his best position actually? Because defensively, kind of reads the game well. He's athletic, he's quick. But then when I've watched him like playing in more attacking role, he's not afraid to take on a defender. He's got pace. Again, yet to be seen whether he's got some shooting boots on. But where do we think his best position is?
Well, the fact, plain and simple, is if he plays attacking, you're leaving Watson out, you're leaving McElhaney out, or one of our other 100 signings we've got. We haven't got any defenders, so realistically, we need to make sure we nurture him into that spot and get him challenging for Torre. Whether he's better up front or not, he's not better than McElhaney. He's not better than Watson and what have you. And we've got, like, say, 20 other new signings who can play up front, but no one up the back.
There is an awe to that, Gav, and the awe for me is, from what I saw, again, I think if we're still talking Crawley, Ibu was playing way higher than the back four. He was playing in kind of a bank of three, somewhere in front of Watt. So if they're going to look at that formation that I thought was a 3-1-3-1-2, then it's a bit of a pipe dream, but it's possible. But I agree, he's not a better attacker than, like, Orton, McElhaney, and the people who are specialists. He's not better than them.
Just one more from the comments, and then we'll move on a little bit, and anything else that comes in, we'll fit it in. Dave has just said definitely need a lead on the field. We would look strong with Nate back. We may have criticisms, but in my opinion, only Orient, Stevenage, and Carlisle are actually better than us at present. I can't say I disagree. I think the way that we've played recently, and like Danny mentioned, if you put Crawley and Colchester in its own little category, take that aside, and I know that's part of the season, but the way that we have played leading up to those games, and all right, the Walsall could have maybe got a goal yesterday, but we still relatively played better. I would say, yeah, Dave's got a point. We're probably the fourth best team in there. But that's opinions. I would agree, but
what about this suggestion? So Colchester, you would probably say they're a worse team than us. They're low at bottom end of the table. They're not really up there challenging. Would you swap their two centre backs for our two centre backs?
It'd help, Gav, if I knew their centre backs
we
were.
don't watch it, but off that game we saw at Colchester.
I don't know. Maybe did we really test their centre backs? we went a goal up and to sit right off them. So
come on, you can be nasty to some of our players if you want to, or you can be nice.
I don't know what the answer is there. I'm going to say no.
Did you an upgrade?
The reason I said it is, the one thing, like I say, I tried to watch what's in front of us, so their team, and I looked at them and I thought, bloody hell, they look like League Two defenders. They looked capable. They were decent size. They were thuggish, and when the ball came into them, if it was the oh shit, that lanky big centre back who can't play football, he actually dinked a ball down the channel, which a good League Two centre back. You don't have to be flashy, just dink it down the channel. They played the balls in the right position. They sort of bullied us, I thought, and they bullied Smith. And I thought they looked like League Two centre backs, where I don't think our two do look like League Two centre backs. They look like non-league centre backs, personally.
The only caveat to that, Gav, is, but where are they in the league?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I haven't got the stats in front of me exactly of how many goals they conceded, but
team game.
I think let's take it forward a little bit. What I'm going to say now is going to lead in. I want to take you back to 7th of January. Take your minds back to 7th of January. It was a Saturday. I believe it was a nice day, lovely day. We played Northampton. No, not quite, but we played Northampton in front of the cameras and we won 2-1. 2-0? 2-1? 2-1. I want to take you back to our new signing at that time, a new goalkeeper of Alex Cairns, and he made an absolute howler. The ball comes in, it bobbles over him, and you're thinking, let's get Tom King back.
Anthony was in the Caribbean.
However,
I was actually.
Am I getting too excited, or do we think we've got a bit of a decent keeper on our hands? Because if we look at games since that, and he made a mistake, and all keepers do at all levels. But since that game, he's really solidified the back in front of behind at times a weak defence. And we can go through every single game and talk about all the saves he made, but let's just go through some of the saves he did against Walsall last night. There's one that came at him quite quick, tipped over the bar. Some might say he should be saving that. It's coming at him, but at pace, having that reflex was something else. I thought it was a double save, but I'm not too sure whether the second one's bounced off Leak and maybe he's just claiming it's a double save. But either way, he got across there. It just looks relatively solid, and I think compared to Tom King, again, he's still coming out and punching. But I think when Cairns does punch, he's punching the right balls rather than just punching for the sake of punching.
Could I just take that one just quick?
Yeah,
go for it.
Because what I totally agree. It's I remember a player when I was growing up, a striker actually, not a goalkeeper, but does anyone remember Roger Palmer, who used to play for Oldham years and years ago? Does that name ring a bell? Who, Roger Palmer? So anyway, he was a great striker if it was an instinctive shot. So, if he had time to think about it, he'd always miss. And this is what I'm sensing with Alex Cairns, that for a reflex save, he's made some of the best saves I've seen live in my life already, Alex Cairns. But when he's got a bit more time and it's a handling one where he's got to catch something, I can see that he seems a lot more worry on that. So I'm everybody at this level has probably got a bit of a rick in him, a little bit of a chink in the armour. So I think his handling is probably slightly suspect. His kicking seems fine, but his reflex saves are about 3 levels above what we were seeing from Tom King. So overall, excellent, but handling maybe could be a bit of a doo-doo.
I mean, it's not the tallest of goalkeepers. I'm not too sure exactly, but he's but it's. I mean, I'm 5'11", but it doesn't make me a tall goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? So
makes you taller than me.
Doesn't make me any goalkeeper whatsoever. So, but I think to be fair, I think it's a good signing. I think he's performing well. I don't see any concerns there. Danny's raised something there, but for everything else that he gives, it's definitely an improvement on Tom King.
Let Anthony bounce off what I'm about to say then. The one thing which came to my mind, and I actually thought this last night, and it was Eladke. Go on, Anthony.
I don't really know what you want me to say to get rid of Eladke.
Does he not mind Eladke?
No. To be
that quality.
I was gonna jump in and say we've not seen enough of the other. He's been the signing of this window for me. I think he's been brilliant. I think in that first game, when you could forgive him maybe for being a little bit nervous against Northampton with TV and it being his debut, I think that he's in the last couple of them made up for it. I know we got beat against Crawley. Like I said, write that one off because that was. But Colchester, he made some very, very good saves. And last night, obviously, he got us the 3 points. So I think he's been the window for us, the better, one of the betters. Like I said, I might be proven wrong because Louis Barry's and Morton's only really just getting his chance. McLaughlin, I thought, did all right as well last night. Like I said, I do like what I see in that keeper. I haven't seen that what Dan picked up on about his catch, but I will look out for that. But I think when he does get the ball in his hands and his grasp, I think he's perfect with his throwing, and that's something that we really, really have missed because Tom King out of play or throw it to one of their players or do something that he wouldn't get us on the attacking quick turnaround where I think very, very well. I think we had some very, very good opportunities last night to get that in the box from quick distribution. Moray and Bolton can't cross for Toffee.
I think one thing that Tom King did do, he never distributed it by throwing, and if it did, it was very, very, very occasionally, But Cairns is kind of looking at doing it from, if he's got to get past the halfway line, he's looking for that kick. If he's looking for somebody straight away, sort of 20, 30 yards at the pitch. He's looking for that long throw. A couple of other players. I mean, I know Rousey just mentioned there. We then brought in Morton. Again, these players have only just come in, and you know, I think it'll only be fair just to reserve a little bit of judgment. He looks okay. He looks okay, Morton. He from what I've read, he's a grafter. He'll run. He chase down. I didn't understand how tall he was until I saw him, because he's pretty much not far off from, you know, Smith's size, but he's more agile. He can move around the pitch a bit more. McLaughlin, who I thought came in as a midfielder but seems to be able to play right back. Now, I don't know if he's an out and out right back. I know we wanted to bring a right back in to cover Shepherd, and obviously Louis Barry, which I heard about Louis Barry about 5 years ago. Again, he looked like somebody who never kicked a football last night, in my opinion. But I'm not. That's not me trying to not.
As Dave should be on UB frames, that was a belter. I think he had 3 touches. One and 2 of them he gave the ball away, I think, twice. But I think he'll be a very, very good player. But last night, as debuts go, I think he'll want to forget that one as quickly as possible.
I think Bambi on ice would have done a better job.
Yeah,
it just brilliant. He just looked like we got one of the scholars, not even the scholars. One of the young lads would have come in. It looks like we just grabbed a guy off the street. He's had 10 pints and went, "Get your boots on. You can have 10-minute cameo."
But lad, and run on that wet grass.
You know, I went back and watched the highlights of when Swindon played us last season, and he played, and just looking at some of his goals, he does look good. He does look good. If he's watching, apologies, Louis, because I know everybody watches the podcast.
Everyone watches it secretly.
For me, and I can't talk about weight because I need to trim a few pounds. He does look like whether he doesn't like he's played games for a while. He looks like he needs to trim a little bit. It didn't look as mobile. Hey, look, if anybody's got a problem with it, just comment. I'm not bothered. Just saying it as it is. But he's going to prove me wrong. So, I think yes.
What do you think it means, again, collectively? I'm just opening it up. What do you think bringing in Morton and Barry in the window means for Callum Hendry?
Good shout.
What I would do is, as what a very good politician would do, is swerve around it a little bit, and kind of say,
that's not on the agenda.
I am disappointed with the signings, not of the people that have come in necessarily, but in terms of the positions that we're covering, because I think we're a little bit top heavy. I think we spoke about this. We definitely need an out and out right back, left back, maybe a centre half, depending on when Nate's back, just to add a little bit of cover and a little bit of depth. But to answer your question, well, read into it what you want. He started against Crawley, if I remember rightly. Again, not got the lineup in front of me, but I'm sure Hendry came in because that's why Smith got dropped, and he got dropped for Walsall. So I don't know if that tells you everything you want to know, but yeah, I would say it doesn't look good. However, it gives you depth.
I'd be disappointed. If we got rid of Hendry. I like him. I know his job is to score goals, and he doesn't do that enough. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think he's one of the only players that had needle in his tackling, in his pressing. I think he's one of the players and one of the most intelligent players that we have in his movement and his passing of the ball. Quick in transition, like I've mentioned earlier, which I like, but I think he's missed chances for Neil Wood's liking. And like I said, as a striker, that's what you get paid to do, is to score goals. He missed a few, but I'd be disappointed to see him go. I like him. I think he should stay. I don't know what the scenario is on when you can leave on. It's always open, isn't it? Certain loan. I don't know. I might be wrong there. So whether he can leave now with the transfer window being shut, but yeah, I'd like to see him. What I'm trying to say, and I'd be disappointed if he went.
I think I think the loan market, should we say, loan market is. I could be wrong, but it's usually a month after transfers, so it could be the end of Feb.
I think it
But-
is still open, isn't it? I think he can,
Think
if
so.
he
Are you
wants, still
Are you
leave.
sure it's not closed in Football League? So we can go down, but you can't stay in our league or go up.
Right.
Maybe Scotland.
I don't know.
I think
No,
that's it,
don't know.
because
Need
it's
to look
Football
into
League.
that.
I'm sure it's closed.
Well, if anybody has listened to this and knows the answer, try and educate us a little bit.
Let us know. Yeah.
Look, I suppose in terms of transfers, I think the players that we brought in, it's an open opportunity to put yourself in the shop winner for top 11, and I'll certainly reserve my opinion on certainly Morton, McLaughlin, and Barry, because I don't think we've seen enough of them yet. Again, disappointed that we haven't strengthened. All right, Shepherd, he's coming back. He's in training. Lowe's in and out with injuries this season. But Bolton can play there. There's people that can play there, and you could argue that we've got a little bit of cover. Maybe not an out-and-out right back, but there's nobody. All right, you can say Burko, but for me, there's nobody really challenging Torre, and I think that's a shame, because I think everybody should be challenged because it raises your game. Couple of comments. Paul G, Carlisle are dark horses for league champions. I think he's right. I think Leyton Orient have dropped points. Stevenage, I would say, are on the same part. They're on par for Carlisle. I think Leyton Orient might lose that top spot. Stevenage, Carlisle are really in form. Northampton not so much. So yeah, good question. Tom King's first game for Northampton. He kicked the ball into 7 times. That was noticed by Northampton fans as well. That was good.
It was.
And Dave Farris said, got to go enjoy it. We'll listen later. Dave, nice one, Dave. Just sell us out. No problem.
Fan.
He's a celebrity. He can do what he wants.
Well, let's just, before we go into February's fixtures, I know Danny wanted to bring this up, to a little bit of a celebration of Paul Rushton being our kit man for many years, who has passed on to he's not passed away or anything. He's just
he's not dead.
He's passed on to pastures new, so shall we say. We're trying to figure out where he went to. Somebody said Fleetwood, and really we haven't got a clue.
He has.
But the reason I wanted to put it on the pod is just that he's someone I know, because he's from the same area of Bolton that I am. So when he used to live in Bolton, he used to go and watch Ratcliffe Borough, and he was just a fan like I was, and he just kind of got friendly with the manager, and he became the kit man at Ratcliffe, and then before I knew it, he was on the documentary being the kit man at Salford. So he's always been a lovely guy. I don't know the circumstances as to why he's moved on. I don't know if he was pushed. I don't know if he wanted to. I've not spoken to him. I've seen him at a few games. He just said hello, and I've got a season ticket and everything. But I think he's been there a lot longer than any manager. So he's done well home and away. So yeah, fair play to him and good service.
Yeah, I heard yesterday he was our longest staff member, weren't he? I heard yesterday at the game.
So,
someone
7 years,
mentioned.
I think.
So yeah, does it? Like I said, I think he has always been quite receptive and quite friendly with the fans. So, served, and like I said, I wish him all the luck in the world. I do think I heard someone say gone. I don't know if that's true. If anyone knows, let us know. But that's where I heard he'd gone.
I know 1 or 2 people at Fleetwood, so I'll ask the question. I mean, it'll be easy to find out, I'm sure. But Danny, the question I've got for you then is, here's a task. Whether you choose to accept is up to you.
Oh dear.
But your challenge is, can you get in, or if you've got his details, brilliant. If not, try and find them and see if you could inquire with Paul if he would like to come on for a little bit on a podcast in the near future, so we can have a little chat.
All
things Salford.
Yeah, it might be in an old phone, because I've changed phones since I last actually spoke to him on the phone. But yeah, I'll see what I can do.
When you say an old phone, are we talking Nokia 3210s or
an Ericsson? I don't know.
Ericsson on back of his
Sven Goran Ericsson?
Yeah.
Sven Goran Eric.
Get Sven on as well.
Oh, say we've got contacts coming out of our ears. And Ando's asked a little question before we move on to the next 6 games. Ando has said, I know we hear it too much, but it's an obvious thing that our support isn't as good as the average team. What do you think are the solutions to increasing the support and atmosphere?
Move to Milton Keynes.
It's a tricky one, if I'm being honest, because there was a small set, but that's broke up a little bit over the last season or two for people wanting to different seats and different atmospheres in the stand, because we do get a lot of choice in the match day experiences. But the honest answer is, I don't like it with bringing in like the younger fan base. Some fans, the kids coming in, and hopefully they'll make Salford their first team rather than their second, third team. But then you get some fans that have been there for a few years that don't like the generation coming in and muscling in on their spot and things like that. So it's a trick. City still have that problem now to this day with the takeover and bringing in. Pep talks about it quite a lot, that the atmosphere is dead and nothing there, because it's a new generation of fan that doesn't know the old chants and the history behind the team and the club. Will probably have this issue for a number of years, in my opinion. I mean, I go to games, I try to be as vocal as I can. I like singing song and I like meeting up with some of the lads. But like I said, even for me, the last couple of seasons, it's it dwindle and it change, and even some of the people that used to get involved in trying to generate a bit of an atmosphere, it's kind of wore thin with them a little bit. That might be down to performances, I don't know. I think if we go up and we start playing good football, that brings more. They want to get involved, but yeah, it's a tricky one because it's a fine line. Obviously the club have got to make money, they've got to charge people, but I think getting people in for is the key to it. But like I said, it's then you've got that next in them getting involved and interacting. So it is a tricky one. I think the was a good idea initially, and that kind of dwindled a little bit, didn't it? When they used to do shootouts and stuff, because that makes people want to come and get involved and do something else. But like that, have actual activities going on at the ground pre kickoff, because I think that's died. Zara and some of the media team have gone. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think the only way is to move. Plain and simple. The reason I said that, it's a pinch of salt. I'm joking, but it's Greater Manchester, the 30-mile radius of where Salford is. There's so many football clubs, so many big football clubs, and Man United are now good. So 2-3 years ago, when we had more fans than we got now, Man United were rubbish. They were down. Yeah. Man United are now good again. So there isn't enough for us to have a really big fan base, because there's too many football clubs in the area. And once Bury come back as well, you might even, it's another club within 9-10 miles, so to say. It's just, there's not enough people for the area. So we've got to, I guess, facilities wise, be on top of our ball. Football wise, be on top of the game. Everything's got to be really good for it to get better. And I can't see it happening anytime in the future, just because Man United are decent. City are obviously, they're not very good down. You'd expect when Pep turned, what have you. Bolton are climbing back up as well because they had a dip. So like I say, we need to make the most of what we've got to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. I think if we get promoted to League One, I think naturally there'll be an increase in the average. Just naturally, because you're playing higher level of football. I think that there's got to be a long-term strategy. I was speaking to I forgot her name, but the lady who looks after the social media and the fan social engagement, and the kind of strategy is getting to the next generation, where that kids in schools are now, of course. Dad's going to be Man United fan and Man City fan, and there's always going to be that interest there. But it's like my boy, he likes Man United and he likes Salford City, and he doesn't. if you ask him, he might go, yeah, I prefer that one. But if you don't ask him, he actually enjoys both. And I think, they do, the community team do go into schools and they are speaking to the kids and trying to get them on board and get them excited that actually Salford is your local team. And yeah, okay, of course, Man United's massive and Man City's massive. They've got these world-class players that everybody knows, and social media is a big thing. But supporting your local team as well, and it goes a long way. And it's just going to take time, but I don't think really going to see the benefits of that until the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years, maybe. Good question, Ando. Well done.
I think with promotion, people jump on the bandwagon. That if we can get up and make a good go of it in League One, like you've just said there, Martin, we've managed to maintain an average of between nearly 3,000 at home. Yeah, I think going up quite a bit, but then you've just got to keep them, and that's what it is. And like I said, I think it's fine at the minute, but yeah, hopefully we'll start seeing more people coming through the gate.
You say we're averaging 3,000?
Are we not? No,
It's
2.5.
more like 2 full. You get 3,000 when the away end's full.
Yeah.
See, this is
like
to encourage the away fans to keep coming.
Because Rousey's been on holiday. He's usually on it with his stats and figures. I think he's slacked off a little bit. Paul G says the ground currently doesn't lend itself to league football. The segregation is woefully wrong. I'm not too sure whether it means segregation in general's wrong at this level, and that's for all grounds, or just our ground in particular in terms of the facilities that there's different levels of facilities in different areas of the ground, and they're all valid points. And it comes back to obviously whether we should have moved to AJ Bell if that was still on. Guys, let's move forward because we've just hit an hour. So, and I want to try and keep it 5 minutes short, and we've got. I want to talk about February in general, and we could go through each game, but let's just generalize it if we can, chaps. The next 6 games, I'll read them off, and then I want like a 2-minute thought from each person of what your expectations are collectively in February, whether that's the amount of points we want to try and secure, or I'll leave it with you. But we've got Rochdale at home, Tranmere away, Harrogate at home, Swindon at home, Mansfield away, Barrow away. Total of 18 points to be earned in those selection of games. Danny, let's come to you first. What's your expectations? I mean, I'll just before we go into that, is it a case of each month now we're getting to the latter end of the season? We're in the second half of the season. Is it a case of at the end of January we're in the playoffs? We're trying to get that third spot. Is February the same goal? We have to, after those 6 games, we have to still be in those playoffs.
I'd hope so, but I'm going to lean on a negative slant, because I'm afraid the games that we've had, the last 3, if anyone's picked up on my post on the message board, my confidence in terms of what I'm going to see on a Saturday or a Tuesday is shot now, because I don't know who's going to turn up, and I don't mean the fans or the crowd or whatever. I just mean I don't know if we're going to come out and give it a good go. I don't know if we're going to look confident. I don't know if we're going to look timid. I actually am leaning towards us potentially looking a bit timid, especially when we score, as we've already said. That worries me a lot, because up until the first of these games, the Colchester game, I thought, Grimsby, Bradford, great games of football. Yes, we lost against Bradford, but we were absolutely running around the pitch like Billy O. Loads of energy, loads of tempo, and that's disappeared for 3 games. And again, I know I said it in my post, but I was a bit almost worried by the amount of times we were doing that really quick throw from Cairns to Bolton last night, because it's like, is that the only way we can get a quick break? Is that the only way we can actually get to the end of the pitch? Because they were some of our best opportunities, which obviously, according to Gav, the best crosser at the club, blew him into the stand. But he's allowed an off game. That's all right. He's smiling. He's accepted it. But yeah, I genuinely don't. I don't know what's going to happen Again, I don't know enough about what forms the other teams are in, but I think with ourselves, we are Jekyll and Hyde. At the moment, we are Hyde. I think he's the bad character. Yeah, I hope we get out of the slump.
Just before we come to Gavin and answer, just wanted to pick up on there, Danny, what you were saying about the long throw from Cairns to Bolton. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but just to kind of throw a different angle on that, when that happened, that the throw was out, and when the Bolton's pretty much first, if not second, touch was on the halfway line. So already within 1-2 touches, you're in the opponent's half. And actually, there wasn't anybody over there. He got 2/3 into the pitch without even actually being closed down. Now, I know what you're saying, Danny, that is that the only way. But do you know what? If teams are going to keep on allowing us to do that, I'll take that every time, because rather than play out from the back and you might get it in the other half, straight away we're in the second half within a matter of seconds. So I know where the angle you're coming from, Danny. I would look and go, I'd take that all day, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
just throwing a different spin on it.
Perfectly, yeah.
Just only because I just want everybody to fight on this podcast and not agree with anybody. Let's make it interesting. We've been too nice to each other. It's time to sort of take this podcast to the next level. Rousey, give us your thoughts for the next 6 games for February. What we're looking for?
10-point minimum for me.
10 points.
Minimum requirements needed. I think we need to start on Saturday by righting our wrongs with Rochdale. The reverse fixture they did us, and I think we need to put those Rochdale fans in the place. Tranmere is a tricky one for me. That could go either way. Like Danny said, if a team turn up, whether we get something out of that game or not. But that'd be the one of those fixtures that I'd probably let the lads off with if we lose, because Tranmere are a good team. Capable of beating Harrogate, capable of beating Mansfield. We're capable of beating Mansfield, and Barrow games are away games. So again, we would probably draw one of those games. So win against Harrogate, win against Rochdale, pick up Barrow or Mansfield, and then, like I said, if we get another win out of one of those away games, but for me, I would be expecting 10 points out of February's fixtures at least.
Okay, Gav, how do you sum up February?
No, we'll pick up on the Bolton comment first. It isn't actually a big thing to be the best crosser at Salford, because we are poor at crossing. But I think you'll probably notice it was the first half when he was terrible at crossing, and that bottom end of the pitch is the boggy end of the pitch. I think it was more of a pitch when he's crossing, to be honest. Give him a little bit of slack on that one. But that side of the pitch is boggy. If that's where all the water runs off, and it is actually boggy, because I was actually, oh my God, what are you doing? I was shocked at his crossing, like I say, it was terrible. But I think it was a pitch. That side's boggy. It's a terrible part. So Luke, you owe me a pint. So I'm changing my little view a little bit, because I've never said Smith shouldn't be in our team, because we win when he plays. All I was saying was longevity over the length of time. So with that in mind, I'm going Rochdale 1-0 Smith. I'm going Tranmere 1-0 Smith. I'm going Harrogate 1-0 Smith. But Swindon, I don't know who's about to score. I'm going Swindon 4-4. We're going 4-4 against Swindon. We're dropping 2 points there. 4-4. Mansfield 1-0 Smith, and Barrow 1-0 Smith.
Well,
I've missed the Swindon game there. Apologies.
4-4 the Swindon one.
I love the enthusiasm, Gav. However, one thing to correct you on, I'm pretty certain, if I think back to that podcast, you categorically said we need to make immediate changes. Smith needs to be out. I'm sure you said that, but look,
I think
you change your mind. It's fine.
But my comments were proactive, saying that if we keep with Smith and we just keep stale and we won't carry on like that, we're not going to get promoted. We need the other players in our squad to be able to get games, to be able to get match time, and we can't just rely on one way of playing, the Smith way. So yes, you can run off it now. You can say, look, my mate Smith, who's a neighbour and everything, he does me washing when I'm out. he should be in the team. And yeah, but eventually we carry on doing that. It'll get very stale and we will not get promoted. We won't get promoted.
Honestly, I've been thinking about that particular because I remember when you said it on the previous pod, and I've been thinking about it for a week or so. That there's one team that I can think of that potentially, it's not about proving you wrong, it's just one that sprung to mind. Antonio Conte's Chelsea team. I think he probably started the season for a few games when he just started in a 4-something. And then he stuck with the 3-4-3 with Victor Moses and all these kind of weird plays in positions. The same formation, he played the same way and they won the title that year. So it can happen, but it's rare. I agree that normally you have to change things substantially through a season, but every now and again.
Can you tell us when it happened in League Two, not in the Premiership? Because you've had Arteta, you had Conte. Come on, let's talk League Two.
Not a chance, Gav. No.
Well, let's review Smith's performance on a monthly basis. Let's agree to disagree in whichever shape or form.
I've never ever said he's not good enough. I think we actually definitely, you can see we play better with him in at the moment. I'm just saying longevity. If we keep playing like that, we're not about to win 1-0 every game. And that's how we play when Smith's in the game.
You've got the next 5 games 1-0 win and Smith's going to score. So
yeah, because in March he's on the bench and Andrew's getting an hat-trick every game.
Is that right? Okay, right. Now I understand where you're coming from. So I mean, I've got us on 12 points out of 18. I think we'll get 3 against Rochdale. I can't say we're going to lose. We might do, but I'm too biased.
We're getting
3 points against Rochdale, a draw against Tranmere, a win against Harrogate, a draw against Swindon, a draw against Mansfield, and we'll beat Barrow 6 fingers.
I like it.
Chaps, whilst it's an hour and 10, I think it's a good time to put it there. I think it's been a good one. It's been good to have Rousey back. Well done for coming back. Couldn't keep away. Big thank you for everybody that joined. I know it was only like 4 or 5 people. Apologies, that's me putting it out there a little bit late, but work. But I do think, and chats will catch up later on this. But as a quick snapshot, I think it's been quite good having a few comments in here just to break up the podcast a little bit and make it a bit more interactive. And hopefully we can grow that a little bit. Danny's going to get Rushy on, aren't you? And hopefully if we can start getting a couple of guests on it in this format, and that might get a little bit more interaction on the chats as well. So
I think one person that I do know, my wife went to school and she's still friendly with David White, who used to play for Man City. He's not a Salford player, but he was ex-England, ex-City and Leeds. So maybe
Different podcast,
David White.
Different podcast.
Different podcast.
To be fair, David White will do anything. To be fair, he's still doing the circuits everywhere.
He's doing the kicks. He's doing the kicks at the moment.
Guys, thanks very much for tonight. I'm going to shoot. I'm going to got another beer to drink.
One sec. Actually, Anthony, you know someone as well, don't you?
Oh, here we go.
Famous Rachel Rouse from Newport County.
You'd need a bleep machine
or a sheep.
Or a sheep.
No,
one of the two.
Maybe we'll just keep her in the chats. Keep it in the chats.
Yeah.
I reckon we should.
Well, yeah, cheers, guys. I think it's a good little thing having them in the chats. So yeah, the more the merrier. So get on it next week.
Yeah, it's a podcast for everybody. It's not our podcast. It's a podcast for everyone. If this is the way it works, I think long term it'd be great that we could stream it live with all fancy technology without glitching. But we got to work with what we've got because we got no money because we need more subscribers and views. Chaps, thanks very much. Thanks for everybody tuning in. And if you do get this far and you've watched it, thanks for tuning in. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Dirty Old Podcast. Cheerio, folks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.